Well, hello and welcome back to the Purple Brain Podcast, and we're going to talk about finals today, particularly all Canadian finals. So, as I said, we just recently had the first ever all Canadian World Cup final between the Ottawa Charge and the Montreal Victoire, with the Victoire winning that in 4 games. How did we feel that went in the end? Because, I remember, despite the fact we've been dethroned, I was still very excited for the World Cup final, particularly as it was going to be an all-Canadian football. Well, I think the fact that Ottawa forced that game 4 kind of made it a bit more exciting because, it would have been a bit of a snooze fest if Montreal had done it in a sweep. I mean, there's only been one sweep in the PWHL history so far, but I think it would have been a bit of a snooze fest if it had been done in a sweep. So by Ottawa forcing that game 4, it meant the excitement was still there. I think it was alright, but I think it could have been a lot more better. Especially if Ottawa had got game 1 left out. I know, 2 seconds! 2 seconds, Ottawa! That is all they had to hold out for. 2 seconds was all the Charge had to hold out for. They would have got game 1, and then who knows, it might have been... Well, you were confident going for. I kind of felt going into that final, I could definitely see this go to at least 4. So maybe a split in Montreal, then somebody wins game 3, and that sets game 4 to be the championship game. That's how. So I kind of thought it was going to go 4, but I remember when game 4 rolled around, I was kind of like, I kind of hope it does go to 5, because then we can get extra gaming and all that. But yeah, so it got me thinking, about Canadians in the finals. So obviously, Canada in hockey in the 21st century hasn't really had that much luck. There's been no Canadian Stanley Cup champion in the 21st century. There's been a few in the Calder Cup. Obviously, the Abbotsford Canucks, this time last year, won the Calder Cup. And then this season had the most embarrassing season I've ever seen. I mean, I think this has gone up, right? I've been involved with the American Hockey League since 2015, right? This, I think, has got to be one of the most embarrassing year-on-year trends I've seen. They go from being unlikely Calder Cup champions last year, and this year, bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel. The moment that barrel went up, it was like, right, that's it, we've got it, we don't need to bomb anymore. It's like, incredible. Just ludicrous. I mean, Abbotsford really just, I don't know what wrong this year. But they kind of shot themselves in the foot, because during the off-season, and not long after they won that cup, they let their netminder, the MVP of the tournament, and then get traded to Pittsburgh! Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah. And of course, obviously, we had the World Cup finals this year, which been all Canadian matchup. Montreal, of course, being the first Canadian team to win the World Cup. Very happy for them. But it was last week when I was writing the scripts for Dreamland, and this was on. It was this time last week. Yeah, it was this time. Yeah, because it was during. No, it wasn't during Game 3. It was during Game 4 of Vegas, Colorado. You were okay. No, Game 3 of Montreal, Carolina, I was busy doing some post-production. And then it was it was during Game 4 between Vegas, Colorado. That's how I was doing the scripts for Dreamland. And it got me thinking, when was the last time it was an all-Canadian match in the Stanley Cup final? And that's where I did the research. Because when I was doing the script, I wanted to kind of allude that this was potentially the first all-Canadian finals in my lifetime, and probably for a lot of viewers' lifetime as well. So I wanted to go and double check that. So I looked up the list of all Stanley Cup champions, and I looked up the finals matchups, and I found information out, and I was correct. It was the first in my lifetime. There has not been an all-Canadian matchup in the Stanley Cup finals since I was born in 1996. Of course, reminder, the team that won the Stanley Cup in the year I was born was, of course, our good friend Bernie and the Colorado Avalanche in their first year in Colorado. of course, they bought their second one 5 years later. Yeah. So I looked it up, and the last time that an all-Canadian finals matchup took place in the Stanley Cup was all the way back in 1989. Ooh, yeah. And that was between the Calgary Flames and the Montreal Canadiens. And that was Calgary's currently only Stanley Cup to date. And it continued a consecutive trend, if you can still agree, of Canadian teams winning the cup. Because you can see here, wow, look at that, yeah. The 80s were a really good decade for the Canadian teams. Look at that. Look at that. Because obviously we had, so obviously between 1980 to 1990, sorry, no, between 1980 to 1983, of course, it was the Islanders with that 4-cup dynasty, which is never going to get beaten. And then from 1984 all the way up to 1989, it was Canada. Canada dominated the second half of the 80s, just winning that cup. And Calgary got their only one in 1989. That was in 6 games over the Canadians. That was the last time there was an all-Canadian matchup in the Stanley Cup final. So this was really clear. I remember at the time, okay, despite the fact that we'd just been dethroned and just had our World Cup taken from us, and the heartbreak of that, especially how we managed to force that game final in the first place. I remember then going from that immediately to the excitement of an all-Canadian matchup in the finals. How do you see it in the Car Cup? Don't think so. I can look that up now if you like. Yeah, I can look that up now. Yeah. Obviously in my lifetime, Canadian team has World Championship. That's happened a few times in the Car Cup. Before Abbotsford, you had the Marlies with it a few years back. Can't remember which year it was, but we'll find out now. Now, of course, you got to remember in the AHL, a lot of teams do get moved from time to time. So we do you want to just go through my lifetime or tenure? Both. Okay, so obviously I began following the AHL in 2015. That's the 15-16 season. Okay, so my first Car Cup finals was 2016. That was when the Monsters defeated the Hershey Bears. Back then they were known as the Lake Erie Monsters, because these are known as Cleveland. Then in 2017, the Grand Rapids over Syracuse. In 2018 was the Marlies with their first Car Cup. That was over the Texas Stars. Then you had that infamous 2019 fight between Charlotte and Chicago. That was when Charlotte pretty much won every single thing on offer. And then in 2022, you had the Wolves over Springfield. And then obviously 2023 and 2024, it was Hershey over Couture Bally. And Hershey then got on their 13th overall. And then obviously last year's Abbotsford over Charlotte. So during my tenure, there's been no all-Canadian match with the Car Cup finals. But we then go further back, so say to my lifetime. Okay, we can see here. Oh, does that count? 2012? It's not. Does that count? Does that count? It's Norfolk. No, it's Virginia. Oh, no, right. Sorry, no. Okay. Nope, okay, right, we'll carry on. She's on there, right? Yeah. Oh, interesting. Hamilton's won a Collar Cup. Hamilton's won a Collar Cup. The Hamilton Bulldogs won their only Collar Cup in 2007. So, so the Hammers, you've got a lot to live up to because next year will mark 20 years since that cup. Yep, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Got a few more to do. Not looking like that. No. So no, there's been no Canadian matchup since I was born. There's been no all Canadian matchup in the Calder Cup finals since I was born in 1996. Oh, there's been a team in Portland. That's interesting. Right. In 1996 finals, a team called Portland was in it. That's interesting. In fact, you've got to go back to... Nope. And Portland's also won a Calder Cup. Interesting. Wow. You gotta go really far back to try and find a Calder Cup or Canadian matchup. I'll let you guys try and work out because we'll be here all night. But yeah. So basically, for me, this was really exciting because this was the first time in any of the hockey leagues I've been involved with that was going to be an all-Canadian matchup. And I kind of feel it just makes that cup drought in the NHL, it just kind of makes it all the more impactful now that I've seen a team win a World Cup from Canada in the PHL. And we could be seeing more of those kind of matchups in the PHL over the next couple of years. Because I don't think Ottawa is going to go away quietly. I mean, the fact that they've managed to make it 2 back-to-back appearances now in the finals. Yeah, I kind of feel that the Charge I don't want to compare with the Oilers, but I'm going to do it because I can't. Because the East Crew, their analysis of the 2025 Oilers was the 2024 Oilers were better in the finals, despite the fact in 2024 they were down 3-0 in the series. Yeah, because of course I had to miss the first 2 games because I was in London. Of that finals. And then when I got back, it was 2-0 Panthers. And then it all then went. Yeah, because I remember after game 3, you were thinking, "Oh my god, I may just come back in the series. Now it's gonna be what over." Yeah. But these guys, like the 2025 Oilers last year, weren't that great compared to 2024, especially how it ended in 1 game left. Like that's how I kind of charged for this year. They were more better in 2025 than they were in 2026 in the finals. They're not going to go. No, Ottawa won't go away quietly. Ottawa will get a cup eventually. The Cold Eyes, we all felt going into the season had a good chance of being a champion. Had a good chance to get a championship. And of course, you've got Hamilton and Tio, who are going to be fighting to be the best team in Ontario. And then Montreal. Don't expect them to get that cup up without a fight. Okay. Montreal next year are probably going to be like what we were when we first got our first Bottle Cup. We're not going to let that go without a fight. Now, not saying that means Montreal could be back champions next year. I'm just saying they're not going to want to get that cup without a fight. Yeah. So, all five Canadian teams are going to be super competitive in the next few years. So we could potentially see another all-Canadian finals matchup. We could maybe see another all-Canadian playoff matchup. Obviously, so far we've only had one Canadian matchup that's been Ottawa and Montreal. Yeah. Last year in the semi-finals and this year in the finals. Yeah. So it would be really good to get some other, Canadian matchups. And can I ask George, what's your dream Canadian matchup? For the finals, in general, Hamilton Tio. We are going to get so crucified next season. Yep. Well, come on! I'm so excited for that. Right, you've got Toronto and Hamilton, literally next door neighbours. That's going to be exciting rivalry. And could you imagine if those two teams met in a playoff series? Never mind the World Cup finals. The interest would be through the roof. You would not be able to get a seat because tickets would just sell like hotcakes. So I think Toronto Hamilton would be a really good World Cup playoffs matchup, whether that be for finals or the early rounds. Yeah. So I'm very confident we're gonna be seeing more all Canadian matchups in these finals. Which gives me excitement. And it kind of just, as I said, it gives more impact to the current Stanley Cup drought, which has been going on since 1993. Yeah, so 1993 was the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. That was Montreal. And it's been painful because for a lot of Canadian teams over the last, definitely over the last 25 years, they've gone close, but yet, so far, So obviously Calgary made the finals in 2004, lost to Tampa. But should we get it up? Let's get it up. Let's get it back up. Canada's had a lot of heartbreak in the 21st century. Taking the Vancouver one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one was a tough one. That was a thriller. Not for Goof. Not for Goof, of course. No. Not for Goof. But for the rest of us, it was a thriller. Right. Yeah. So, 2004, Calgary loses to Tampa, and that was in a best of seven. That was a full seven games. That was in 7 games. Then the next finals, of course, took place in 2006. Also 7 games, and Edmonton lost to Carolina. That's Carolina's only Stanley Cup. Hopefully not the only one by in the next 2 weeks. Then in 2007, Ducky! Yeah. Ducky! Yeah. Ducky beats Ottawa. That was in 5. And then the streak ends there. So you had 3 consecutive finals with Canada teams in it, which is not bad, but couldn't get over the line, Right. And then Canada doesn't make an appearance in the finals again until that infamous one in 2011, which saw the Boston Bruins defeat Vancouver in 7 games. But if you remember rightly, Vancouver had the opportunity to close out in 6, but couldn't do it. So that's a heartbreaker for Canada right there. And then, of course, you don't then see Canada in the finals again until that bizarre situation in 2021, when, obviously, in 2021, all of us were in different divisions. Us three had our teams in the West Division, where you basically had the American Pacific Division teams, which did, of course, include HAL at the time. Because obviously HAL didn't move divisions until Seattle came in, so HAL was still a Tech Pacific Division team. So all the American Pacific teams, and you had Louis, Nordy, and Burley. So in 2021, you had Montreal compete against Tampa, and that was a complete snooze fest. On paper, that should have been exciting for us because it was never heard of, probably will never happen again. Two division rivals going head to head for the cup. What happens? Montreal, complete and utter joke. I'm so surprised that did not end the sweep. I've been saying how I've yet to see a Stuck Father sweep. That was so close. That was the closest I got. That's the closest I got. Yeah, and then of course, obviously Edmonton, like you pointed out, 2024 and 2025. 2024, it was in 7 after the Edmonton Oilers came back from a 3-0 series deficit to force that game 7, which they then choked. And then last year, they lost to Panthers in 6 games. And according to the East Crew, they were worse than they were in 2024. So, there's been a lot of heartbreak for Canada in the 21st century. They've not done well. It does make you wonder, is the only way that a Canadian team is going to break this curse is if you get 2 Canadian teams in the finals? Is that the only way? Yeah, George, but you know that's not going to happen. There is no way Gary Bettman is going to allow 2 Canadian teams to play for the Stanley Cup in the finals. Not going to happen. Even when he's dead and buried, his spirit will still not let it happen. Yeah, that'll probably be the first thing he says to his successor. Do not let Canada play the finals. Do not let 2 Canadian teams play the finals. That's one of the first things he'll say to his successor. Don't let 2 Canadian teams play the finals. But the fans want it! Don't care, you're not allowed. But the fans want it, lady! Not allowed. She's going all demonic on us here. It's like, oh my god. Like a banshee something up in here. Are you channeling Agatha? Is that what's going on here? Yeah. But I do kind of feel that obviously now having just had this World Cup Finals matchup most between Montreal and Ottawa, it kind of does give more impact to the Stanley Cup situation, that drought that's been going on and on and on for years now, decades, even generations in fact. Yeah, so I was very excited when we got that match on the World Cup Finals because for me, first opportunity in my life to see an all-Canadian matchup. And probably the only way I'm going to see an all-Canadian matchup in the finals is probably for the PWHL. Yeah. Probably for the PWHL. Yeah. Because I think because of the NHL, the majority of the Canadian teams are in one division now. In fact, let me just look it up. Yeah. Obviously you got Manitoba in the Central. Abbotsford and Calgary are in the Pacific. And then let me see. No, wait. Give me 2 seconds while I just double check this. Especially with Hamilton entering the fray next season. Yeah, so Hamilton will play in the North Division. Along with Bellevue, LaBelle, and Toronto. Yeah, so you got Manitoba in the Central, Abbotsford and Calgary in the Pacific, and then in the North you have Bellevue, Toronto, LaBelle, and now Hamilton. So the only way you probably get an all-Canadian match for the Calder Cup finals if either Manitoba, Abbotsford, or Calgary gets in. Yeah, gets in, and somebody from the North Division wins. Northeastern, yeah. The North Division finals winner goes into the Eastern Conference finals. So right now, the Marlies, they are currently in the Eastern Conference finals against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. The Marlies playing the North Division. The North Division gets classed as the Eastern Conference, along with the Atlantic, and then the Western Conference is the Central and Pacific divisions in the AHL. So whoever wins the North Division finals and the Calder Cup playoffs goes to the Eastern Conference finals. So that's the only way you would get an all-Canadian matchup is one of those teams in the North Division. So say Battlebelt, Larble, Tio, and Hamilton. One of those goes to the finals representing the East, and then either Abbotsford, Calgary, Manitoba goes and represents the West. That's the only way. So it might be the PHL you get to see these matchups more frequently. To finish this episode off, let's all one by one give the name of the matchup we'd like to see next in the World Cup finals for Canada. So one by one. So, I'd like a rematch. Oh no! We already had no. No, I don't think. No, I don't think Owen would like that. Best of three. It's not Wimbledon. Best of three. It's not Wimbledon. No, I can't cope with that. No. You'd say you'd want to do Owen Montreal again. Yeah, best of three. Jesus Christ! Who do you think you are? Oh, Djokovic. Oh, lady. I would like Vancouver. I'm struggling to think of who I'd want Vancouver to play in the finals. Yeah. If I didn't want Hamilton T, I would immediately go with Vancouver with you two. Like, yeah, so just say the first team that comes to your head. Vancouver and go on, bad expansion teams. Vancouver and Hamilton. Okay. And of course, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say Hamilton Tio. You can crucify me now in the summer, but wait till we get to November, you'll then be begging to change your minds about that. You'll be begging to change your minds. Okay, so there we go. So, this is a little bit of fun, actually. But thank you as always. Till next time, take care, guys. Don't go to bother.